So during my trial, I got a lead who, and there was like a 2 or 3 week gap between my trial and signing up, but I got one lead who I continued to communicate with, and I got a listing from that. And currently under contract, scheduled to close March 1st. Everything's going good there. I have not changed any of the automations, so that's why I asked Troy if we were going to
today
on that and do that. Actually, so I just got another lead the other day, and I have like 13 addresses plus email addresses. Some of them have names, some of them have phone numbers, but that I haven't touched. I did like 6 of them last night. It's just been a really busy weekend. I sent out another listing contract yesterday from a lead that I received here. This is going to be like a $700,000 home.
Dan, crushing. So talk us through a little bit of how that even came about. I mean, I love when I hear that you get a listing appointment, but walk us through the very beginning. What type of lead was it? Was it an immediately lead? Was it a phone number lead? Walk us through with how that came about.
So the trial was just an email lead. That one, I emailed him and gave him a valuation. I gave him a $15,000 range. That was before I talked to Jennifer, who recommended a narrower range. At the same time, when I set up his listing appointment, he said, look, I was just expecting this minimum price, and you not only, that was your bottom end of the range, and you went up from there. So I was planning on selling it. And the way our market has just gone up and up and up, like 6 months ago, a house similar to his sold for $290. 3 or 4 months ago, very same layout, sold for $305, and this one is listed currently for $319.9 and under contract. So it just continues to go up. The other house, the $700,000 listing, is that was everything: name, address, phone number, email, you name it. It had like a lead score of 28, I think, as it came to me. And it had so much information on updates that I was just like, you know what, I got to call this one. So I called her, and she said, oh yeah, there's a lot more. I ran out of space for information on upgrades. And so I set up an appointment with her. I went over there. It was Monday morning, and her daughter was there because she's actually out of state right now. And I had told her, based on what we could find, or what information I was able to find online, I felt like not only were we going to be close to what she was looking for, but I think maybe even a little bit higher. So after I viewed the property, I called her as I was leaving. I told her that I felt comfortable listing it at $699.9. And she said her husband was sitting there listening and said,
he left us in suspense. He's gone. Wow. The internet blacked out. Hey, there you are, Dan. We lost you for a second. And she said
her husband was sitting there listening, and that he was nodding his head in agreement that he liked the price and everything. And then 2 minutes later, he was like, well, what else can we do to bring it up? And I'm thinking, don't get greedy. But so they're actually, when the initial conversation, she told me she was out of state till April. And I don't have a signed listing agreement back yet. I will have it because they've already told their daughter to start making contracts or contacting contractors for improvements on the home, getting outbuildings painted, getting the roof redone. They're actually driving back Sunday to start taking care of some stuff. So I will be getting the listing. I'm just definitely wouldn't have had this stuff without you guys.
Hey man, thanks. Is there any takeaways that you would give to people? Like, was there any specific questions that you felt were vital to that ask, or how you approached it, that that kind of you felt was like a turning point for you?
Not necessarily. I mean, like the first time I talked to you, because Marcus, you're my coach, you had said, go in the group and just kind of be a fly on the wall and listen. And I've done that, and unfortunately, that's pretty much all I've done. Couple small things. I've talked to Leon, I've talked to Jennifer, and gotten some input from them and everything. And it maybe one or two small things, but the process, not only does the process work on its own, but I've started implementing little things here and there. And I know that I still have a lot of changes that I could make that will be even more beneficial. Just even the way it's running and the way the market is right now, it's kept me pretty busy. So I'm having to take baby steps, not leaps and bounds.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing, Dan. Anyone have any questions for Dan?
No, but I got a comment I'll make. The coolest, I won't say the coolest part is you got a listing, but I love the fact that you took and understood when to step in over the automation to get in to let the live body go into what has to be there. And that's one of the things I was saying this year myself. I've pulled back a lot of the automation because I'm not here to automate myself out of what I'm doing. So I love the fact that you turned around and when you looked at what was going on, you go, I got to call this guy. You got to pick up the phone. That's part of the conversion. And that's something we forget. You got to be willing to do it.
And, Leon has, we spent, almost 45 minutes on the phone one night a couple weeks ago. And, Leon knows his stuff. He's definitely got a lot of gold to share. And I talked to Jennifer, I think it was last week, for about 25 minutes. And that was, pretty much the exact same thing that she said was, she wants people to know that it's her, it's personal. It's not an automated system. It's not a computer just spitting out information. She wants people to know that she's a real person. And, for me, that's paramount, because I became a real estate agent to help people. My real estate agent was a jerk, one of the biggest a-holes you've ever met. And that's why I became an agent. And it was to help other people have a positive experience. So.
Awesome. Lisa, you had a share. I know you got up there. You super exciting news. You started with the free trial last Friday and got our first buy sell appointment today at 3 p.m.
Yes. And it was the call right away. We basically called right away. The more information, I found out that the more information they give you, the more that they're ready right then. Automations went off. I did the research, had a few houses in the area that they were looking in. It was just a big 15-mile radius in Isanti County, which is a pretty big county in Minnesota. And they're like, yeah, awesome. Well, we have one to sell too. So they're looking to sell at about 350 to 400,000 and then buy at 450,000.
Wow. So you said that was off a buyer ad?
Yep. That was just off a buyer ad.
And which kind of was, so you in the trial, so it must have been the buyer to seller conversion template, right?
I'm not even sure. We're running all three of them. And so we've got like a $50 a day spend on each one of them. And then we amped it up to $100 a day on each one of them. And I've got about 8 more viable ones that are like looking to sell within 1 to 3 months. So I'm going crazy, doing the research, giving them to my agents. I'm the admin, so I'm playing like ISA right now. And they're going crazy. And I'm like, just get the appointment.
So awesome.
Yeah, it is. I'm very excited.
Yeah, one thing to say on that buyer campaign, guys, I find oftentimes, and as you obviously experience, is that's why we call it the buyer seller. You have to ask those questions because oftentimes they're looking before they, but they have to sell first. So There you go. You double on that deal because you're first to the market on Facebook. That's the power of interruption-based marketing. It's because they weren't even thinking about it. It just randomly scrolled in their news feed, but now you tapped in first before anybody other person did.
Yep.
Good job. Any questions for Lisa?
No, but that is part of what I say when you're doing your study of what it is. When someone comes in I use MLS just to go in, pull the name up, see if they own something. And you can also use the truepeoplesearch.com and other stuff. And I don't even tell them I know they're a homeowner. I turn around and just simply set up a seller drip to go out of HomeBot or one of my other systems so that they're getting something, and then keep working forward with them. And the thing is, when you look them up, I haven't quite got my social media stalking like Marcus would like, as far as to do Facebook. But, you know, the more you know about the person, the easier it is to get the conversion.
That's true. Yeah, we forget to put on the detective hat at times, right? You know, look into LinkedIn, do a Google search, Facebook, whatever you possibly can. As long as you're looking to connect and come from contribution, it's not a stalking. It's not stalking. And many times you're just verifying, and then you're connecting. That's good stuff. All right, Troy, did you want to share some automation stuff? Unless anybody else wants to share real quick some wins. Jennifer, we're going to use you. Get ready. I tested your funnel just a second ago. You got to unmute yourself. There you go.
So yeah, are we going to jump into Jennifer's account, or?
If she can get her audio connected. Come on, Jennifer, you're a veteran. What's going on?
Hey, just so you know, too, I have a win. I wasn't able to press on mute real quick. It's Lisa Hanley from Minnesota.
Yeah, share, please.
So just signed, or I haven't signed the contract, but they were going to be signing with me buy sell. First one that's going to be officially signed. And what's really interesting, I think, you know, not only the follow-up is important, but how you present yourself at the listing appointment. They literally had 2 other agents in there. One of them spent 10 minutes there, literally, and they explained, they literally slammed a piece of paper on the table and said, "This is what your house is worth," after spending 10 minutes of there. And then the other one was really kind of cold because they have some work to do to finish it up before they list it, and came in $30,000 difference. And I literally spent my time in there, nobody gave them a seller's estimated worksheet. That's huge. And by the time we were done talking about the fixing up, how I can help them get the fix up, gave them the seller's estimated worksheet, actually adjusted the CMA right there so they could see it, because again, I hadn't seen it, and I needed to adjust some things of what they had finished. But not only the follow-up, but it's also what you do when you're there that makes you different than everybody else. Don't spend 10 minutes and slam a piece of paper on the table and say, "This is what your house is worth, sign with me."
Can you tell us a little bit more about that seller's estimated worksheet for people that may not know what that is?
So seller's estimated worksheet, I have a spreadsheet, and I've gotten to the point where I literally have a spreadsheet. I always have 4 different prices. So just in case, so I'll give you an example what theirs. We're going to list it at 270, and I have a seller's estimated spreadsheet just in case you get multiples from 280 down to 260. And it literally goes through all the costs, including the buyer's agent fee, my fee, the taxes that Minnesota is going to take out, the conservation fee, all the little fees that nobody ever talks about, to let them know exactly so they can make an educated decision. And then we put their mortgage in there, and it shows them exactly what their net take home may be out of 4 different offers. And it's just really giving them that education, so that they understand what the costs actually are. And it makes a big difference, and it makes them feel like, oh, I'm not hiding anything. Here's all the fees, broker admin, all the fees are right in there, the title fees, everything. I include everything except for the property taxes that are, you know, based on closing day. And so they know exactly what it is. And I have it now that I've done a seller's estimated spreadsheet for so many that when I do new ones, I can just click it, change the mortgage amount, and just send it on its way.
So Lisa, do you calculate all of the fees? Do you work with one, like in Michigan, I'm in Michigan, and some title companies charge slightly different fees. So do you work with your title company for that, or do you do the calculations on your Excel spreadsheet?
So I put my title company is pretty set in stone what they charge. And so I just use the title company that I use on a regular basis. I know that they're going to charge $410 and $210, I believe it is. And those are pretty set fees. And that's also why it's seller's estimated worksheet, because I tell them that sometimes the other title company might add some fees to it, this and that. But I'll tell you, they're really pretty close. There isn't much of a surprise that comes out of it when we get the final settlement fees. But that's why it's an estimate.
Good stuff.
And I'd be willing to share if somebody wants, if you want it, I'd be willing to share it, because I just have it in a Google Sheet, and then you can start creating your own and you can see what I do, because then I just adjust it. And then with the title fees, like for taxes from this, I go onto the title and adjust according to what the sales price is too. So if you want it, just send me a Facebook message, or probably the easiest way with Lisa Hanley, just send me a Facebook message with your email and I'll just share it with you in Google Sheets.
Yeah, and Lisa, you can also share it into the file section of the StreetText Insider group. That'd be awesome, because we put all our files in there, so that'd be just uploaded in there if you can. In this way, everybody in the group can have access to it. So it's called I think you said a net sheet in other states.
Yep.
Right?
If seller's estimated net sheet, just make sure you put the estimated in there when you tell them.
Got it.
And some of the MLSs have a seller net sheet built into their system. Our MLS does, but you know, even if you want to custom yours to look a little different, it never hurts, because you're doing everything you can to stand out and be noticed over others.
And what I do with my sheet that makes it different than what the MLS does is I literally include 0% closing costs, 1% closing costs, 2% closing costs. And then I mentioned to them, some people will ask for 3%, but I always never try to allow a buyer side to get 3%. So so they can literally look if somebody asks for 1%, 2%, and it will show it there too.
Rock on. Jen, did you make it with your audio? Is Jennifer Salter in here? Did you figure it out?
Can you hear me?
Yay, good job.
There was something that I wanted to say before. Someone was asking about scripts, if they use scripts. And Marcus, I'm trying to send it to you, but whoever asked that, I don't do scripts, but they talked about how you can convert more on the buyer side when you talk to someone if you use LP Mama. So in the chat, I'm going to put it, but if you Google LP Mama like that, that is a strategy, and it gives you a sample of different types of questions you can ask. But when you're on the phone with a buyer, if you kind of go through and ask them about location and like just different preferences, but so I use that as my guide. I want to get like a question from each of those different topics. But yeah, Google it. There's a lot of research done. So I kind of keep that near me so I can make sure I'm hitting those targeted questions.
Awesome. And Jennifer, I made you co-host just in case you want to ever share anything. You can share screen.
Okay.
Cool.
Yeah,
Troy.
I love that. I think having a checklist is even better than a script, because you know what question you want to ask or what you want to get to, and it feels natural. It feels like a normal conversation. And at the end of the day, the person you're talking to feels like you are actually interested in helping them. So it's, yeah, I think that's a really good thing. So LP Mama for everybody. It's in the chat.
I have a buyer information sheet I'd be happy to share with everyone. It has all the questions Jennifer was saying.
Everything shared in that file section of the group. Such a powerful thing. Let's just upload all our ideas and scripts and anything we think would be valuable for the community, just right there in the file section. Cool. Any other wins we share before we'll let Troy kind of take over the automation side?
I have something funny to share. So we have this lady, Sharon Park, that has entered my funnel more than Marcus, which is hard to believe. And you know that number you look at to see, you know, how many times they look at your emails and videos or whatever. She's like at 600 and something, right? So I'm like, okay, this lady is really interested. She's not opening any of my emails in any program I send her. And then she was private on Facebook, so I couldn't find her. And so finally I went and took a package over to, or wait, she also had a phone number. So I called and her grumpy husband answered and basically blew me off and told me that he would let her know I called. Anyway, so I was like, okay, I have to go across town, drop off a package. And the grumpy husband answered the door. And I was like, oh, shit. And he goes, just leave it out there. I'll get it. you know, and I'm like, okay, thank you, you know, because I was like, I'm just dropping off some information that your wife, you know, that Sharon asked for. Is she home? Yes, but just drop it off. I'll pick it up. And I'm like, okay, great. So hopefully she gets it. So on my way home, she freaking enters the funnel again. Like we have to keep turning off automations. And I think we've turned off probably 17 automations because she keeps doing it. So I'm like, maybe her computer has a flaw, or maybe she's just a little crazy. I don't know. Anyway, but then I saw that she liked one of my Facebook posts. And I'm like, ah, yay, there she is. So then I clicked her name and I messaged her, let her know I dropped off a package, you know, let me know if you have any questions, blah, blah, blah. And never looked at it. Never looked at it. And then
Wendy, I've had Sharon Park about 20 times as well. I'm in Henderson too. She's the one months ago on one of the masterminds, or I had a conversation with Marcus or something. I'm like, this person keeps every day for like 2 weeks straight. She requested.
Oh,
never answered the phone or anything. Maybe it's the guy and he's just like crazy and likes messing with people.
I don't know, but I was like, you know, I gotta drop her something. And then it's funny because my CMA girl, she keeps like, oh my God, Sharon Park again. And so we're kind of been joking about it. And still nothing. So, but she still continues like 4 times a day to enter my funnel. And it's just like,
Wendy, it happened to me too, and Aiden blocked him, but I had a Paul Cook, and Paul Cook was over 1,000, and I'm like, what in the world is with this guy? But it was constant. Every ad I would run, I would shut off ads and turn on new ones. Yep.
oh my gosh, I know. Seriously, I've been doing that, and she's hit 3 or 4 different funnels. So that's crazy that you have the same stalker. Okay, so yeah, as far as blocking though, it doesn't block for LV Sweet Homes. It blocks for Wendy Humphreys, right? When you try to block someone, it's gonna block personally, right? Not the company.
I think you can block them on your business page too.
We can also block them in StreetText. So if you just send me a message, we can go into our backend and block them from entering any more automations.
Okay, yeah, good idea. I mean, I don't know how much money she's costing me, but it's just like, you know, and it was frustrating because I was like, she needs to know, and she still doesn't know. And anyway, awesome. Well, thank you.
Hey, Wendy, on the flip side of that, I'm happy to hear this has happened to other people because this is happening since I started not so long ago, Marcus. So we're talking like 2 months, and it happened with someone that was address only. I dropped something off. We've started that conversation. They went away for a while, but they were always clicking in. I mean, I know how much it's cost me because it's probably cost me $75. And the thing is I can't really tell them not to do it because we're this close to listing his place. So like we will convert this person, and I'm sure it's at a net profit after it's all said and done. But you know what? I'm almost happy this is happening to other people. Not happy that it's costing you money, but I was wondering, you know, what's going on with this guy.
Yeah, now that I know she's also doing it to everybody else's ads in Las Vegas, that makes me less want to chase after her. Like, she's just crazy. All right.
I have 2 quick questions, Marcus. Sorry. One, kind of along the line like what Andrew was saying. I probably get at least 5 good leads a day with at least an address and an email address, but I would say at least 5 times a week, I get just a city and state. Is there any way to get rid of those? And then the other question I had was kind of back to what Lisa was saying was the net sheets. I would appreciate anybody's input on how they're going about finding out what their remaining balance is.
John would be the answer for the first question.
Yeah, all I would say is 2 things. You know, people coming into your funnel, they are, you know, if you're getting a city and a state, that means that they started entering something and then they bailed. And the reason they bailed, you know, it could be a time thing, and maybe they were sitting before like having an appointment and they just had to run. But more often than not, it's a trust thing. So they're putting the information in, and they're like, oh, wait, I don't want to get harassed. And then they just kind of bail. That's not necessarily a bad thing, because they might actually be a really, really qualified seller. They are just having to take enough time. They need to see you a second time. So there's the extreme example that we just heard. And then there's the, the flip side is where you have the other side where people are really, really cautious. And I think what you need, like, just when your ad is running, it's going to notice that activity, and Facebook's going to pick that up. We wouldn't have fired a conversion pixel on that person yet because of how they've engaged. So, what will happen is they'll end up coming back maybe a month or two later. And then at that point, they'll come through as a second submission. You may never know that they came through already, but that's where you'll see it. And then they're actually more close to the time frame. And so there's more urgency for them to actually enter their full information. So you are going to get that. It's not something we can, remove, because once they're starting to put their information in, it's going to capture. But so I can see that. The other side, I mean, to Wendy's point, like, getting good, obviously it's great. Like, that does happen where you do get people on the sort of the far extreme side of who are just Facebook crazy. and the poor husband's probably tired of all of the stuff that's coming in. But just know that put on the Wendy the hat for a second and say, like, that was really strategic in how she was pursuing that person. And that was a really, really good example of a powerful follow-up play. When you see somebody who is engaging in a good way, more often than not, I'd say 9 out of 10 times, they're a really good person to follow up with. One of those times they're going to be, something a bit odd there. But that's actually, like, really the first time I've ever heard of something that extreme, where, Nicole, you said it, they came to you too, which is hilarious. And then Andrew, you had the similar example. That's just so funny. But definitely, as far as the address only, just realize that Facebook is going to catch them as they get more close. And once they've engaged with the ad, they're going to see you again. And part of building trust is just seeing the same person again and knowing that they aren't just going away. And that's part of building trust in real estate for sure, because they need to see you. They need to know that you're a real estate agent, that you've been around, that they're, it's kind of like when you're, in any work environment, the first time someone sees you, they don't know who you are, but they just see you. But then when you see the second time, a third time, fourth time, fifth time, it builds that trust. And before you know it, you're out playing golf together, or you name it. So it's just that same way of building trust through consistency on Facebook through brand awareness.
I had one similar to Wendy where, I did the CMA and emailed it to the lady and everything. And not as bad as Wendy, but this lady, like, I didn't even say, hey, call me and make an appointment or anything. I just said, here's your CMA kind of thing. And I'd love to see it at some point. And next thing you know, like, I get a phone call a day later, and it was a 45-minute phone call telling me her whole story. And then actually, so that was actually 4 weeks ago yesterday, because it was the day my dog had surgery. And then, no, it was 2 weeks ago, sorry. And then it came up again, like 3 days ago, the same name, same address, same phone number. And I didn't even bother with it, just because I feel like she was just looking for attention.
And there are some people who are lonely right now, and they're looking for someone to converse with and chat. But and that's true. But if they have a property that they're planning on moving, figuring out that time frame is really going to be helpful there. I think, as well, someone was asking the question, maybe that was you as well, Dan, on how do you get the remaining balance? Specifically on the mortgage financing, right?
Right.
I think, sometimes, a simple way to do it is if you have an appointment, whether it's a conversation or something over Zoom, you can even ask them as you're going through the spreadsheet, and then enter that in real time if you can't get it in advance. Okay. And then make that part of the consultation experience.
Great.
That's a good way to do it if you can get it some other way.
That's a great idea.
Yeah, I have it in my online calendar. Like you put the online calendar, and if they go to book, they're going to put their, name, phone number, email, or whatever. And then the question is, how much do you owe if you have a mortgage? So, like, I have that right in there so that I can do my net sheets and everything to go over with them. So that's another spot you can add it.
Yeah.
That's a great, I love that strategy. And then always, whenever you ask a question, include the reason why you're asking it. People, there's a study done, and all they did is they had people bump into line and they'd say, hey, I need to make a photocopy. And if someone went to go make a photocopy, the percentage of people that would say, oh, I'll just kind of give you the spot, they wouldn't necessarily do it. But as soon as they gave them a reason and they said, because, the number increased to something like 70% or 80% of people said, sure, yeah, you can use the photocopy. So always give people a reason as to why you're asking for information. And you'll increase the amount of information that you get as a result, because people just want to know, like, why are you asking this?
I have one announcement real quick before we get into automations. I created a split test how-to video in the announcement section. And I just want to share with you, it's never been so easy to run that split test. I want to highlight an account real quickly. Her name's Tiffany. She's in LA, like SoCal, which is, $800,000 plus average home sale. This split test that we ran with that new split test feature, like, it's crushing it. And it's the what's your home really worth. You have to upload, you have to go to the asset section of your settings and upload that photo from the seller property valuation. You can't, I wouldn't use a stock photo. Now, she used a satellite image, and all 3 ads have like a 75-cent cost per click. All 3 ads are getting like $1.52 or $1.50 addresses and $5 emails and a bunch of phone numbers. And this is in SoCal. So, for people that are like, well, my market's so competitive, you have to jump it up to 12 to 15. This kind of blew my mind, because I always talk about the unicorn ad performance. In this case, she landed at all 3 of them. So it just shows you split testing can create that. And sometimes if you just haven't found it yet, you just got to keep on going. And right now she's letting all 3 go because she can't decide which one's going to be, it's winning. It's just absolutely crushing. So just something to think about as you're, running this new feature. You can run up to 5 split tests at a time. Sound good? Quick video in the automation or in the announcement section. It's a little 10-minute video. I give several examples. I did a class yesterday. So if anybody's struggling with getting a good ad performing, go to that little video, watch it again, and start working it.
Yeah, and Sheila just asked, does everyone have access to the new split test? Absolutely, it's available to everybody. So it's making our lives easier. It's making your lives easier. Use it. Marcus is like a big fan of it because we know that it works. It just works.
And let me just emphasize too that seller ad, if someone were to buy your home, would you sell it where everyone drops in the home emojis? That's, everybody did that in trial, like 3 home emojis, drop in, zoom out the ad image. That is still great. But what I want to encourage you all to do is both split that and A/B test the satellite versus the map. And if you're in the mountainous area, the terrain. But then I actually want you to go to your settings section. There's a section on the bottom right-hand side called assets. And you can take that same map image and upload it into the what's your home really worth funnel. The one that says enter your address, receive your home value. That's exactly what I did for her in LA. And she's getting great results. So just something to think about. You could obviously do your own images as well for your area, but that map seems just to continue to crush it 5 years later. Okay, so just something to think about. All right, Troy, talk to us about automations.
Let's do it. Can you actually bring up, Jennifer, I'm going to use your account because this is really where it was emphasized. I was working with Jennifer. I was in her automations. Don't want to embarrass you too much, but you're a big girl, I know that. But I'm going, Jennifer, I don't think your automations are going out on the days that you think they're going out on. So Marcus, if you can bring up her account, I'll show you guys one of the best ways to access your automations. And then I'm going to really highlight how the timing actually works, because that's vitally important. You really want to make sure that what you think is going on what day is actually what's happening, because it could extend things out quite a bit.
Wait, before you embarrass me too much, just 1 second. This is exactly what we talked about, though. You see, you don't even need all the fancy stuff to have it work, because it's worked fantastically well for over a year for me, and I've been doing it kind of wrong. Now you can embarrass me.
Right, just like this, where you say, here's what I can offer, 1, 2, 4. Did you forget to put 3 in there?
Hey, the best
Yeah.
discoveries have been by accident. So hey, you know how it goes.
Absolutely. And that was actually one thing I did see. I was like, well, she's been running with this forever and it's working, but let's make sure it's working exactly the way you want it to work, right?
Yeah, and case in point.
Can you also show us how to stop it when somebody answers and we're back and forth with them?
Yeah, we'll go through all that. Let's start for the very basics. So Troy, lead us through. Where do you want me to go?
One of the best ways actually, you could go to all automations, but that sometimes can get confusing. Let's go to the funnel section.
Okay.
And then you're going to click on My Funnels. So that will be your any of your funnels that you have actively running. So those are probably the ones you're going to want to edit as far as your automations.
Here we go. Okay, so we got available templates. Everybody knows that. Hopefully that's where you launch ads from. And there's a little tab right next to it called My Funnels.
Absolutely.
Yep.
We're going to use the buyer one.
Looking to buy right here. Looking to buy a home.
Just the buyer campaign lead ad, actually just down below.
Below that
one. Yep.
This one right here, or any one of those?
Any one of them should be fine.
Okay, click edit.
Okay, so that's your ad. When you click edit, it's taking you to the automations that are tied to that ad. Okay. The reason I'm doing the lead ad here is because typically the lead on the buyer side, the lead ad doesn't have, it has like one text, it has one email in there. Jennifer's gone in and has added more than just that. If you use the listing lead ad, it has no automation. So there's no email in there. There's no text message. So I'm going to show you how to add those first off. And then it'll start to frame things out. So in this case here, you can see a big key is at the very top there, what it says. So Marcus, if you go just to the very top, is actions in sequence, right there. This is a key component. So all of these actions happen sequentially, meaning they happen after the last event. Okay, so that's going to be a key piece when we go through this. The very first thing that happens here when a lead comes in on her buyer ad is a new, you can see there, action, new SMS message, right? So this little text message gets sent out immediately when they submit their phone number, right? Because there's no time delay on this one. We could put a time delay in here, maybe a couple of minutes or hours or whatever you would like, right? For now, we'll leave that. The next thing that happens is that there's an email that Jennifer's put in here, and it gets sent out 1 minute later. So 1 minute after the text message, not 1 minute after they submitted their information. I think that's where a lot of people get a little bit confused. So then what happens here is she has a text message that goes out 4 minutes later. So basically, because we had a time delay of the email being 1 minute, and now this is 4 minutes after that email, it's a total of 5 minutes from when the person first submitted their information, right? The next thing that we have in here is another text message that goes out a day and 5 minutes later. So right here is like, it feels like we're okay. Like Jennifer's like, yeah, I got a text message coming out the next day. It's when you start adding in like extra days on your email. So let's say there, so the text message goes out a day and 5 minutes after the previous text message on the very first day. And then 5 minutes later after that, she has an email. So that's kind of what's happening on the second day. And then there's another email that goes out another day later. So we're now on day 3, basically, right? So they got an email on the first day, got another email on the second day, we got another email on the third day. Now 2 days later, an email goes out, right? So that's from the previous one. So if you remember, on day 3, that email went out. Now 2 days later, we're actually, from the time that the lead submitted their information, we're actually on day 5. This is where it kind of gets really, and even I can see some people are like, okay, what's going on? So that's really where you want to just kind of think about it. Always think about when is it going out from the previous one, even if you have to make yourself like a little timeline on a piece of paper and go, okay, this one is going out this one. So it has to be so much time after the previous one. That's kind of what you want to take a look at. Because what I saw in Jennifer's account is a lot of people will come in here and they'll think that they'll put in, let's say 5 days, right? Thinking that that email is going out on day 5 after they've submitted their info. Yet there was like maybe 3 or 4 emails that went out before that, and you thought that each one of those was going on each of the days, and you can see where it can get like longer and longer and longer and longer further out than you actually think. It might be, you know, what you thought was going out on day 5 is actually now going out like almost 2 months later, right? So that's just kind of one thing to take note of when you're in the automations, and just go, okay, this one's happening based off the previous event. Right?
Troy, maybe since most people use the 9-month-long drip email campaign, that'd be a good one to start with.
Yep.
Because
well, we're gonna go back to that one.
Okay.
I just wanted to do this one because it's very different. And actually, what I'm going to show you, if you can go back to that one, Marcus.
Okay.
Because it's missing something.
Right here, buyer campaign lead ad.
Sure. Okay. So one of the things that this one is actually missing, and we're going to add to it. So we want to add an action into this, and we want this to actually get a tag, right? Because right now the leads that are coming in aren't getting tagged as a buyer, right? There's no, that's one of the things I noticed in here. So what we're going to do is we're going to add an action. Then this is how you can kind of add your actions in and add your emails and your text messages and anything else that you want to have happen in there. So what we want to do is we want to add a tag of a buyer when this person first comes in. So right there, add action. We're going to click on that. Now there's a key piece there. We want it to happen right away. So we're doing it at the very top of the stack. It's going to be the first thing that happens, right? So add action, and then we go a tag and select. And now you can go create new tag, and you can type in buyer. And then we can go add event. And now we're going to turn that on because by default it'll be off. And now anytime a lead comes in on her buyer ad, they're going to get tagged as a buyer. So you'll see that in your contact section, which is really great if you're exporting these out to another CRM, because then your CRMs will pick up them as buyers and then handle them that way. Okay, so next thing is, let's say Jennifer wanted to come in here and she's like, I actually want to add another email into the sequence. Let's go down, maybe a couple days down here, be like, after this SMS message there, for instance. Right, so I want an email to come out after this. So I'm going to click add action after that one. So it's going to add this and it's going to insert that email into there, right there. And we can select an email, send an email. And if you haven't created the email already, you can now actually create it right on the fly in the automation section. That's something that we've recently added. So you can go create new email. You could put a title in there for the email just to help remind yourself what it's tied to. And then we won't do that because we don't want to create a new email in Jennifer's account unless she wants to, but you'll just put that in there. As soon as you click add event, it'll pop up an email, and then you can edit it. You can put everything that you want in there. So nice and easy. When you've created that event, you can then actually put a time delay on it, right? So by default, it won't have a time delay. It will just be set as basically 0, and it'll go out immediately after the previous event. So if you want that to be delayed, then you can just click on the little hourglass. Marcus, if you just want to go out of there, show them the hourglass. Actually can do it at the very top. So if you don't see a time delay, even if you don't see one, as soon as you hover over, you'll see a little hourglass there. You click on that and then you can put in the time delay. Okay, so that's just kind of some highlights of different things, and you can take a look at that. So let's go into the seller funnel. because this is where we're going to challenge you guys to really consider that first initial email, right? Marcus is all over this. What is that very first experience? We talked about know, like, and trust. You know, they clicked on an ad, don't know you yet. When they get that first initial email, what is the experience that you want them to have of you to help them start building that? So yeah, I think we can, that's a seller ad right there. Okay, so this ad, this is any of our seller templates already have that automation built out. You guys have all seen it. It's kind of templated there for you, but it is generic, right? And you can come in and you can edit the sequence as well. So you could change the timing of it if you wanted to, just as we showed you here. But we kind of go down here and you can see, you know, right there, like a tag is, or a little bit further up, a tag is added. And then actually Jennifer's is a little bit different than most of yours because she has added hers. So you can see that the seller tag is added in there. And then there's the email that actually gets sent to you, the agent, that gets sent out right away as soon as they put their information in. Jennifer has a text message that goes out here 1 minute later, and then she's got her email. So we can click on that. And in here, you can see she's got her first initial email. So what she's gone in here and done is she's taken it from the dry, generic, boring kind of, you know, hey, I got your request and I'm on it. She's put a little bit more of her personality in here. She's got in her one here, here's what I can offer, 1, 2, 3. It no longer says 1, 2, 4. Good at it. But what's important here too is she's got this, you know, I'll be in touch with you shortly. And then she's got this nice video in there, you know, using the big app to kind of put some title in there, grab their attention. And you can see that there's a lot more personality in here, right? I love it. And then she's asking question. Yeah, and a link to Calendly. And you got a great signature in there, right? Which now is speaking to your branding.
And you're telling them you're going to Facebook stalk them.
Yeah. So I really want to highlight, like, if you really analyze your own first initial email and really consider, like, is this something that I would reply to, right? Like when it's left generic, when it's left boring, even when your like signature is just the plain Jane text signature that gets set up for everybody when you first start with StreetText, it doesn't show your branding. So, you know, it doesn't look as professional as it could. You know, if you're not asking questions, then there's not necessarily something to even like respond to even get a conversation started, because that's really what we want to do. And then that video, just like, even if nobody plays her video, they at least see her, right? There's somebody behind this. It really puts that personality and all of that in there. So yeah. One of the things that we're going to do is we're going to share in the chat here. Shay, I don't know if you have done it already, but we created a doc which has just like, it's Jennifer's template off of her initial one, off of her first email. It's from the course, so it's a little teaser for you guys. Just to kind of give you guys an idea of what that looks like. You can use it and take that and edit it and make it your own, right? That's the key part. Like, don't do exactly what Jennifer does, because you're not Jennifer, right? You're Lisa King, you're, you know, Leon, you're, you know, whoever. Really take that into consideration of how you want to come across, what you want to say, what is your personality, and that sort of thing. What we're really trying to do is highlight and give you examples to really kind of push those creative juices. You know, play with it too. You know, try something out. Send it to your friends and family. Be like, hey, is this something you would respond to? Send it to the insider group. Be like, hey guys, what do you think of this? Right? We're all friendly here. We'll give you feedback, and then adjust as you go. And be like, hey, you know what? I'm not maybe getting the results I want off of this. I'm going to try adding it. I'm going to change to a different question to maybe see if that gets a better response, or maybe I'm going to change my subject line. All of those different things. So just want to paint a picture of what things could actually look like for you.
Can there's a couple things I really like about this, Jennifer. I mean, number one, I really love that you're using that app big. So obviously BombBomb I love because you're using video, but you have, like, it's clear that you're going to be working on the home value request right there, your home valuation request. I love that you went in there and changed it from the generic, you know, received your Facebook home valuation request and I'm on it. There are updates or renovations that I should be aware of. You go into, you know, hey, thanks for reaching out to me on Facebook. Your request for the property valuation of is being worked on. This is not automated. And as a local realtor, I appreciate your support of local business. Love that right there. I'm here to provide you a fair market value based on the data you have or will provide. Here's what I can offer. 1, get your accurate home evaluation. 2, my firm has connections of ready, willing, and able buyers for homes like yours. 3, list your homes and get it sold. I'll be touching you shortly. Talk to you soon. Click on the video below to meet me. And then below that, any updates or information I should be aware of regarding a home, really in bold. You made it bold, like that was great, stands out. Second, underneath there, it says, be sure to check your message request folder on Facebook. Love it, because you obviously, you're gonna be intentional about trying to create a connection on Facebook. I like to reach out and connect with everyone so they have an opportunity to get to know me and my business. And then it says the historic photos online do not always justify what the home looks like currently. It's always best to see the actual home condition by scheduling a 30-minute home walkthrough appointment. Set up an in-person home walkthrough of your home, or via Zoom meeting. We can discuss potential list price, marketing strategies, and answer any questions about the selling process. My calendar link is below. It has a great little email signature that you did, and even got your client reviews in there. And do you mind, Jennifer, if I play your video?
Go ahead.
Cool, let's do it.
Hi, Jennifer with eXp Realty. I just got your home value request from Facebook. I am working on it. I'm pulling all the comps in your area and your neighborhood. If there are any updates or upgrades I should know about, please just respond to this email. Let me know. That way I can adjust the valuation. Also, I'm sending you a message in your Facebook message request folder. That way you can get to know me and my business better. When you're ready to list, you have questions, feel free to reach out to me. I am a local realtor that has lots of experience, and check out my reviews. You'll see that I think you'll be very happy with my services for you and your family to get your house sold. And if you're just looking, enjoy. I hope the valuation is helpful for you. Again, my name's Jennifer Salter with eXp Realty. Talk to you soon.
All right. And if you know anything about Jennifer, if she goes into her records and sees that's not opened, she will pursue that relationship 3 or 4 different other ways with different emails to get that open, to get that play. And that, you know, by the way, is coming out in her course in the near future. I think you said we're moving that date. Jennifer, what's the date we're expecting to see that course?
Oh, I'm not saying it. Whatever you guys say, but I think it's next week.
Next week. Be prepared, Jennifer Salter.
January 21st. Yeah, it's gonna be a ton of fun. So it's gonna be right after the mastermind. We'll do it on Thursday, and it'll be a ton of fun. So really excited about that.
Quick question, because I've had a lot of people that had asked me about this. So in Jennifer's first line, where you see the insert contact, that goes ahead and puts the person's name automatically. Is that already in some of the templates that come out as standard, or is that something people would have to modify to?
It's in most of the templates, the standard, but it's basically bracket, contact, name, first name, right? And in the template that I just posted in the chat, you'll see it as like the proper import tag. So now, Jeff, you asked a question. What about the whole automation? If you could just unmute yourself. I'm not sure what you mean by that.
Well, I use FollowUp Boss for all my automations, Troy, and they have a function, and you're probably familiar. They have a function where you can share we call it an action plan. You call it an automation. You can share your action plan with other FollowUp Boss users. Is there a way for StreetText to set it up so that StreetText users would have access to other StreetText users' automations, not just, and I know you posted the original one, but obviously it's a series, and I think it would be helpful for most. I mean, I know I've plagiarized most of my stuff from other more experienced StreetTexters. And since most of us aren't really competing with each other, with a few exceptions in terms of our area, I don't know that it would be a bad thing to be able to give us the ability to share and borrow other people's automations, especially newer people that are having to start from scratch. They could go in and Jennifer, look, yours is awesome. And I don't know how you feel about sharing it or if that's private to your course that you're selling, but for newer agents to be able to have access to the whole automation, tweak it, personalize it, it just is such a jump start. So I'm just wondering if there's the ability to do that.
Currently, no, but it is definitely a great feature request. So, you know, it's something we can definitely put in there. We have thought about similar type things. And one of the purposes of this mastermind is to help bring those ideas in a way organically. So people are sharing, you know, this is, you know, Marcus also goes through and he's like, hey, everyone, check out this email and that sort of thing. And then sharing in the insider group, you know, until such a time that we could bring you guys a feature like that. But we definitely, I absolutely see the power in that. And that would be, and I think somebody even asked about your follow-up boss sequence in the insider group as well. And so
it's, if for anybody that uses FollowUp Boss as their CRM, just go to the library. It's titled StreetText, and they can see my whole action plan for responses to seller leads from StreetText.
You know what, Jeff? I love that. I just have to say this because I've always been one that really thinks that there's enough business to go around. But I just had a dilemma. I have, there's a lot of local girls that are from my area now that have seen that I've been using StreetText or just saw it around and they're on here. And I went through this whole dilemma. You know what I realized? I'm not doing anything exciting. I mean, real estate has been around forever. Nothing that I can provide is going to be some, oh, wow, that's so different. So to me, we all put our own spin on it, our own videos, our own tweaks, but it's all the same information. And so to me, I thought, you know what am I so nervous about? Because someone's going to like to work with me. And if someone's using the exact same script and we're side by side, it's still going to be completely different. So I really like your attitude with that because I kind of had to get over that myself and think, as much as I think I've done a great job, honestly, there is nothing special about me. Like, we all have the same knowledge and it's just about how we apply it. So I'm with you. I'm willing to share everything all the time because it's just different coming from each person, you know?
Jen, I think that's incredible. And I mean, you are special, Jen. But you really are, like you everybody here is got unique, right? Everyone's got a different personality, a different approach. There's, you know, your clients are all going to say something that's you know, really incredible or fabulous about you when they talk about you and the referral and what they love doing business with you. And, you know, make that front and center stage within your automations. One of the things I noticed is, and this is true, this is like everybody has to get over this hurdle at some point or other, but, you know, the people that are most engaged in the insider group are the ones who are doing the best. There's something about doing the opposite, going to the opposite mindset where it's like pull back because I'm afraid of competition, that actually pulls back in business. I don't know what it is. I haven't figured it out exactly, but it's like the more you go out there, the more you contribute, the more, like Jennifer, Janky, Wendy, Jeff, it's like Leon, like if you look at that that mindset of go-giver contribution, you know, we talk about this a lot, like you know, just gratitude, thankfulness, it just seems like it just creates so much more. And it creates that momentum wave, and it just goes way further. But then the other thing I want to kind of bring back to the automation component, which is really important, is that you know, take it as one piece at a time. So when you add an email, you know, just like 1 week, pick one email, but I'm going to add one email this week, because in automation, I love what Leon talks about, which is don't like rely solely on your automation. Like, get out there, you know, be proactive, follow up, but at the same time, remember that when people are joining your automation, they're joining your automation. You're not competing with anyone at this point. You've got that channel, and that channel is your channel. It's your email. Like, it's the coolest thing, because you know, anything may change. Facebook may change. Twitter may change. You name it. Things may change. But when you've got their email, you've built this pipeline, you built this database, and they start to follow you consistently. They're starting to follow you. And you can send them market report updates. You can send them whole bot emails. You can send them you name it. You can send them property lists. You can send them just like a, hey, my monthly newsletter, what's happening, or maybe I'm going to do this event when things open up again, like, or maybe you're doing some sort of, Daryl Reuter, he's an agent in town, and he's constantly doing these really, really cool give back events, and he's doing them right now, and he's like trying to raise money, and he's incredible. He tattooed a unicorn on his back because he hit his goal, but go for him. But but the point is that you can do some really crazy stuff. But all of that is like when you have an email database and you're communicating to them consistently, they become they become your email friends, and you're building relationship, and they know you, they trust you. It's the Facebook news feed, but on email. And so treat it like that. Treat it that way and build your automations in the long run, because what you're doing is you're building that trust, you're creating that relationship, you're doing it, and it's your channel, it's yours. And so the more you build into that, the more you build that the bigger your influence, the bigger your trust, the bigger your awareness goes. And who knows, someone might be having a conversation with someone that day, they got an email from you that morning, they may not even necessarily use you, but they'll then tell someone, hey, I've been, I got Jennifer's email, I got Leon's email, I got Jeff's, and I was thinking about him, and he shared this thing about this news article, or he shared this thing about, the market values, or he shared this, and oh, wow, that's really interesting. I should probably call him up. That's the person I would recommend to use for sure. So you're building that loyalty, and it's a big deal. But I just wanted to bring back to that as well. So it's, one week at a time. You don't have to, do it all. And that's why we're sharing one email this week. And we're sharing it because we want you to take action, go in there, edit one email. And then, next week and the week after, go out and we can edit another one.
StreetText is a water hose. You could sometimes get extremely overwhelmed if you try to take it all in one. I tell people it's an elephant, one bite at a time. If you really want to focus on ad performance, focus on the split test. Really get clear with what a split test is, how to A/B test and split test, how to run ads. And then your next phase is, I want to really work on getting my email proficient. Not just getting, one phase might be getting a video in there, and the next phase might be, how do I get this email opened? How do I get my open rates up to like the 90% that Jennifer Salter has? Let me study the science of email, because if I'm only getting an address and email in some cases, I need to make that a priority. So that's something to be said. And as far as exclusivity is concerned, Zillow made that taste bad for realtors, right? There's no such thing as that, especially now that you're on 15 miles. That's like hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people out there. There is so many homeowners ready, and there's only one homeowner that's going to choose you. It doesn't matter how many agents are in your market. You're the difference. There's no one like you. No one like you. And so at the end of the day, everybody can get ad performance, but it's up to you to create the conversation and to come from contribution, to use words like no obligation, my way of giving back, I'm a small business owner, all that stuff, that's on you. Everybody else can generate leads, but very few will be able to take that into a conversation and be intentional in the way they do that. So that's right.
Absolutely. And people will self-select because they'll say, oh, I don't want to do that because it's competition out there. Well, guess what? They pull themselves off of that channel. Well, that's awesome, because that just made more for everyone else. So it's just remember that. Keep focusing on growth. Make growth your priority. What's your goals? We talked about that last week. It's really important. And then actually do the steps to do it. And then when you do contribute back to the group, remember that you're actually not just like teaching isn't a powerful thing. People say that the teacher learns more than the student, and it's very powerful. When you share something, people will give you feedback. They'll say, oh, that's really cool. What if you did this or tweak that? You go and you implement that, you made that change. It's amazing how, much that benefits the person who contributes. It's amazing.
And I was going to say too, Jennifer, I think you have your account paid off and some and more. You refer everybody out through your affiliate link.
Yeah.
So, and now we're paying you. So at the end of the day, it's like you've referred a bunch of people in your own market because you have that mindset. It doesn't matter how many people are doing StreetText. You're still dominating. You still have 20 plus deals over the last however much time. So it doesn't, it reflects who you are, I think. So coming from that contribution and being generous with even sharing StreetText is only going to come back and get you more business. That's the way I feel. Awesome. Any last minute thoughts or questions before we end the mastermind today?
I'll toss one out there. So one of the things I was saying before about not automating yourself out of your own business, the thing that's kind of funny when we say we add and expand and build on things, the only thing where people forget, or when I say relying on automation too much, is when we start looking at the texting feature. So I let Julie just run everything. And then once they turn around and respond to a text, I move them over to my CRM because I've got a StreetText texting CRM set up, because that's the only thing that doesn't reach out. And knowing that people turn around and respond to a text 90% quicker or more than they will to an email, if you don't have a CRM that does that, don't worry about it. Sit down, and one of the things I had before was called Texting Tuesday. Mondays suck because coming off the weekend, no one has time. But if you go in, you don't have to hit your whole database of 400, 500, whatever. Go in there and find the most active people in there. I'm all about notes. I love my iPhone. I'd go ahead and I have notes in there. I can go ahead and text out of it. So what you do is go in there, find the most active people that you see running your automation that have looked at the text or been in your Facebook, copy and just send them a text out of there. Add their name so it's personalized, and get that response, because it's all about engagement. But it's just, it all starts. And this year I said I was going to automate myself less. So like I said, until they respond to a text, I'm not worried about texting them because Julie's running through the system. But look and see, identify the shortfall of what you aren't doing or want to improve on. And if there's anything I would definitely say, yesterday I was sitting there, posted something about my Zoom calls, and I was just hitting people up. I've got 2 more calls I got to make today, and I had a 3rd one come across. So, and I was just following up on what was going on in the automation. And I was going to rebuild my automation this last weekend, but a friend of mine's wife passed away, so I've been kind of dealing with that with him. But like I say, just a little bit every day. You don't have to build a city. You can start out and, build a block, build, right there. But definitely look at what's not going out. Get your texts going, because you're going to get a response, and then just follow up. But that would be my tip. I would say to add to what you have right now running with StreetText is get back personalized in that text. And if you copy it and paste it in your notes, then you're not trying to do 200 characters every time. You just send it. And if you do 10 a day, 10 a week, whatever, the numbers add up. So just, I always say one positive thing a day. That would be it.
Texting Tuesdays. What would be for Wednesdays? Wellness Wednesdays. Give a health tip. Jennifer.
When I was younger, it'd be Wild Wednesdays, but I don't do happy hour and everything's closed. So I haven't put nothing else there yet.
Thankful Thursdays. I'm just coming up with them on the spot. All right, guys. Thanks for coming to the Mastermind. Let us know what you'd like to hear for next week, and anything that you take away from this, post to the group. As always, post things in the file section if you have something you'd like to share. And thanks for coming today. We'll see you soon.